Beloved, chosen one, still yourself for a moment. This interruption is not an accident. Heaven has stepped into your timeline. Right now, everything pauses because heaven wants your full attention. Something divine is shifting in your spirit. This is not emotion. This is revelation. You are not blending in because you were never meant to. You were born with divine DNA, marked for impact before you ever took your first breath. You've walked through valleys others didn't survive. You've faced betrayals that tried to poison your purpose. You've cried prayers heaven could not ignore. Every silent night, every ache that no one understood, it was all a signal in the spirit. God heard it. And tonight, he responds. Heaven is not just observing you, it is moving for you. The weight you've been carrying wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The delay wasn't denial, it was divine design. The pressure that almost broke you was the tool that shaped you. The isolation that made you question everything was the secret classroom where God taught you resilience. You were not being punished. You were being refined for your mark. Look at your journey, every closed door, every sudden ending, every unexplained loss. Heaven was protecting you from misalignment. Some people couldn't go where you're going. Some situations were never meant to survive your transformation. You didn't lose them, you outgrew them. What you thought was rejection was actually preservation. Tonight, the air around you carries holy electricity. Heaven leans closer. Angels move. And God's whisper fills your spirit. You are mine. That whisper carries authority. It is a decree over your destiny. The mark of God is not visible ink, it's a radiance the enemy fears. When you walk into a room, light walks in with you. Every spiritual weapon aimed at you bends before it can touch you, because divine ownership is now active. Do you feel that calm rising inside you? That's not coincidence, that's peace beyond understanding. You are crossing out of survival mode and into sovereign covering. The seal is being placed even as you listen. The same fire that once tested you now surrounds you as protection. The same tears that once fell in pain are now watering the soil of your purpose. You've wondered, why me? Why so hard? Heaven answers tonight, because I could trust you with the fire. You didn't quit when quitting was easier. You kept walking when it made no sense. You held faith when everything else fell apart. And now the heavens respond in kind with recognition, restoration, and revelation. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Chosen one. This is not the end, it's the unveiling. Your mark is activation. Heaven doesn't waste words. And this word has found you on purpose. From this moment forward, you walk under divine jurisdiction. You are heaven's property. No curse, no gossip, no betrayal. No fear can penetrate what God has sealed. You will notice the shift. Dreams will sharpen. Discernment will deepen. You will begin to sense when something carries heaven's approval or not. That is the evidence of the mark divine sensitivity to what pleases the Father. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead now stirs within you. You are not walking into a new season, you are walking into a new nature. The mark also means separation. There will be moments where you feel pulled away from crowds that once felt comfortable. Don't resist it. God is not isolating you, He is insulating you. The higher He calls you, The fewer voices can speak into your destiny. You cannot receive divine clarity surrounded by constant noise. Chosen one. Remember, the mark is both protection and calling. It guards you from harm, but also demands holiness. You cannot go back to old habits or settle for small thinking. You have seen too much, survived too much, and been chosen for too much to return to average. Your light must remain pure, your motives refined, your obedience sharp. Every day from this moment, heaven watches how you carry this mark. Angels record your faithfulness. The world won't understand why you glow differently, why your peace feels unshakable. But that is exactly how God intended it. Your life is meant to confuse the darkness. You are proof that divine covering is real. Now breathe. Let the weight of heaven rest gently upon you. You don't have to strive to keep the mark. You simply have to stay surrendered. The mark is not performance, it is position. You have been positioned in grace, in favor, in protection. Nothing in hell has the authority to remove what heaven has written. So, if this resonates deep within your soul, respond in faith. Type 777 inches, the comments, as your prophetic declaration, I am marked. Then, like, share, and subscribe, so this word reaches every other warrior who has felt forgotten. Tonight, heaven marks you, and the darkness can no longer touch you. You are chosen, you are sealed, you are free. Chosen one. You've learned to smile while bleeding. You've carried invisible battles in your chest while pretending everything was fine. The world saw your composure, but heaven saw the chaos beneath it. You walked through seasons where your prayers seemed to echo back unanswered. Yet you kept whispering faith into the silence. You survived betrayals that should have turned your heart to stone. But instead, they turned it into something unbreakable. The hidden battles, the sleepless nights, the trembling hands, the quiet tears on your pillow were never wasted. God watched every moment you fought to believe, when belief was the hardest thing to hold. You thought no one noticed, but the King did. The unseen world witnessed your endurance. Each scar became evidence that you refused to bow to despair. And now, heaven gathers those moments as testimony, proof that your faith is authentic, purified like gold in the fire. Every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness, light pierced through the darkness around you. Every time you refused to curse what tried to crush you, heaven recorded it as victory. You thought your silence was weakness, but it was actually worship. While others defended themselves loudly, you stood still and let God fight for you. The spiritual realm trembled because you chose peace when war was offered. There were moments when it seemed like your prayers were pointless. You looked around and saw others thriving while you struggled to breathe under the weight of trials. You wondered if you had done something wrong, but no. Chosen one, you were being refined. God wasn't ignoring you, He was investing in you. The deeper the pain, the greater the purpose. The longer the delay, the heavier the anointing being prepared for you. You see, hidden battles are holy battlegrounds. No one claps for you there. No one posts about it. It's the sacred space where heaven trains warriors in silence. The greatest crowns are forged in solitude. While others build platforms, you were building endurance. While others collected applause, you collected wisdom. You were being prepared to carry what would have crushed the untested. There were nights when despair whispered that God had abandoned you, but heaven was closer than you imagined. The silence wasn't distance, it was a test of trust. When the teacher is silent, the exam has already begun. God trusted you to keep walking, even when visibility was gone. That's how the mark of authenticity is proven, not in comfort, but in perseverance. There's a part of your story that only God and the angels know. They saw you choose light while surrounded by shadows. They saw you pray for those who hurt you. They saw you worship with an empty bank account, a broken heart, and trembling faith. That is why you are chosen, because even at your weakest, you didn't quit. You were tested in the furnace and came out carrying revelation. Now, the very battles that almost destroyed you are becoming your testimony. Your pain has become your passport into purpose. What you endured will become healing for others. Your tears are turning into oil. Your scars will shine with meaning. Every hidden fight has created divine strength inside you. Heaven is not looking for perfect vessels, it's looking for proven ones. You have been proven. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 56, verse 8. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Do you understand what that means? Chosen one, none of it was ignored. Every tear was documented. Every cry recorded. The God of eternity stooped down to count what the world dismissed. Nothing you endured will go unrewarded. The record of your pain has become a scroll of proof that you belong to Him. And now, heaven prepares the exchange. For every silent battle, a visible blessing. For every lonely night, a public restoration. For every hidden wound, a divine healing that will be impossible to hide. You are entering the season where what was done in darkness will be rewarded in light. The enemy thought your silence was surrender, but it was strategy. God was positioning you. You were being hidden like a seed, not buried like a corpse. And now that seed is breaking the soil. The same earth that once covered your pain will now announce your resurrection. So breathe. Chosen one, the worst is behind you. The tears that once fell in secret have become sacred currency in heaven's economy. You will see the goodness of God not just in eternity, but here, in the land of the living. The hidden battles are over. You've been seen, remembered, and marked. You are no longer defined by what hurt you. You are defined by what you overcame. Chosen one, when everything around you fell apart, there was something within you that refused to die. You didn't even understand where the strength came from, yet somehow you kept getting back up. When people left, when doors closed, when promises broke, you stood in the ruins and still whispered, "I believe." You didn't realize it then, but unseen hands were holding you steady. You were never walking alone. Even when it felt like heaven was silent, you thought it was coincidence that you survived things others didn't. But there are no coincidences for the chosen. You were sustained by divine design. Every time your heart shattered, grace gathered the fragments. Every time your faith flickered, the breath of God blew gently upon it until it burned again. You were kept by mercy. You were strengthened by a love you couldn't see but could always feel. The world saw your falls, but heaven saw your recoveries. They saw how you crawled through days that made no sense, and still found a reason to thank God for the next sunrise. You lost things that would have destroyed most, yet you rose with gratitude instead of bitterness. That's what makes you different. You don't just survive storms, you find revelation inside them. Even now, think back on what you've endured. The betrayals, the rejections, the false accusations, they all became tools heaven used to carve strength into your soul. You learned patience when you had no answers. You learned compassion through pain. You learned discernment by being deceived. You learned endurance through delay. Nothing was wasted. Every wound was a doorway to wisdom. There were moments you thought you were losing your mind. But heaven says you were actually losing your limits. You were being stretched for the capacity of your calling. When you couldn't see his hand, you were learning to trust his heart. That is what faith is, standing when sight fails. It's choosing hope when everything screams despair. And because you refuse to let go, you've been marked for endurance. Hell threw everything it had at you, but you remained. You may have bent, but you didn't break. You may have cried, but you didn't curse. You may have questioned, but you never abandoned your post. Every time the enemy thought you were finished, you rose again, stronger than before. That rising is what terrified the darkness, because now it knows you cannot be manipulated by fear anymore. You've seen too much of God's faithfulness to doubt him now. You've felt his hand too many times to be deceived by appearances. That's why you can walk through chaos with calm. You know the unseen hands are still holding you. The prophet reminds us in the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Those hands have always been there. Chosen one. When you were too weak to stand, they carried you. When you were too broken to pray, they interceded for you. You thought you were surviving on your own, but grace was doing the heavy lifting. The fact that you're still here is proof that you are supported by heaven itself. And that strength wasn't just for you, it was for those who will come after you. Your story will become someone else's survival guide. You will be the voice that tells another broken soul, you can make it, because you did. Your resilience has become a weapon of deliverance. Every lesson you learned in pain is now a tool of healing for someone else. So don't hide your scars. Chosen one, let them shine. They tell a story of endurance, of faith, of divine preservation. The same God who held you in the dark now calls you to walk in the light with confidence. There is no shame in your survival. It is your badge of victory. And right now, in this sacred moment, heaven asks for your response. Type "still standing." Those two words carry prophetic power. They declare to every force that tried to destroy you that you remain not broken, but built, not bitter, but blessed. When you write it, you're not just commenting, you're prophesying over your own life. You are declaring that nothing that came against you succeeded. Yes, you are still standing, and you will continue to, because unseen hands never let go, because your endurance has been forged in divine fire, because the same power that raised Christ from the dead now fuels your spirit every day. You are proof that heaven intervenes. You are evidence that grace is stronger than grief. You are testimony that no fall is final when faith still breathes. And every step you take from here forward is marked by that same unbreakable truth: you were held. You are still held, and you will always be held. Chosen one. The moment heaven marked you, darkness noticed. It always does. The mark of divine favor draws both angels and adversaries. When the light in you began to rise, the shadows became restless. The attacks that came out of nowhere, the confusion that seemed to cloud your mind, the sudden weariness, none of it was random. It was the enemy's counterattack. But understand this, attacks are confirmation. The enemy doesn't waste energy on what doesn't threaten him. If you were insignificant, you would be ignored. The fact that you have faced unusual resistance is evidence that you carry unusual authority. Hell recognized your calling before you did, and it tried to extinguish it early. But what God ordains cannot be overthrown by fear, jealousy, or witchcraft. The counterattack was designed to make you doubt your mark, to make you question your worth, to convince you that maybe you imagined your purpose. But heaven never issues counterfeit promises. Every whisper of divine destiny over your life has been sealed in eternal ink. What you carry is not temporary, it is eternal. In the unseen realm, every act of faith you make sends tremors through darkness. When you pray, chains loosen. When you forgive, curses break. When you praise in pain, principalities tremble. That is why the attacks intensified after your obedience, because your obedience threatened the very structure of evil that once held you captive. Remember those sudden waves of anxiety. Those moments when discouragement came for no reason. They were not emotional accidents. They were spiritual attempts to silence your power. But you must know, resistance is the announcement of breakthrough. Every attack exposes what the enemy fears most. And right now, what he fears is your awakening. There are two types of warfare, the kind that destroys and the kind that reveals. You are in the latter. The pressure is showing you what you carry. You are not under attack because you are weak, but because you are loaded with divine potential. The enemy senses that if you ever fully understand who you are, his influence over your life will dissolve instantly. Chosen one. This battle is not about your past, it's about your future. The darkness doesn't attack what's behind you, it attacks what's ahead of you. It knows there is a crown waiting on the other side of your obedience. That's why it distracts, divides, and disturbs you. But no weapon will achieve its purpose. The moment God marked you, He also drew a boundary around you that no demonic hand can cross. Even now, heaven reinforces that truth with ancient authority. The prophet declared in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord." Read that again. Chosen one. It does not say weapons won't form, it says they won't prosper. That means attacks may appear, but they will fail. Lies may rise, but they will collapse under the weight of truth. Curses may be spoken, but they will reverse before they reach you. The fire around you is not for your destruction, it is for your distinction. What the enemy meant for chaos is becoming confirmation. Every trial is revealing just how untouchable you have become. The same adversity that tried to break you has only proven your spiritual immunity. You are no longer the person who trembles at conflict. You have become one who carries calm in the middle of storms. There is a shift taking place even as you breathe. Heaven is exposing the schemes that once operated in secret. Plots are dissolving. Words are being silenced. And traps are being dismantled before you step into them. God has gone ahead of you, clearing the path, confusing the enemy's camp, and reclaiming everything that belongs to you. You are not losing your mind. Chosen one, you are regaining your vision. What once felt like chaos is actually divine confrontation. Light and darkness cannot coexist. And because the light in you is growing, the shadows must flee. Every battle now is evidence that the enemy has run out of options. His last attempt is noise, distraction, illusion. But you've matured past fear. You've learned that even in warfare, you are wrapped in peace. So, breathe again. Stand firm. The war is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that you are winning. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave now lives within you. And that power does not retreat. The counterattack has failed before it even began, because heaven has already written your victory into the record of eternity. You are covered, you are chosen, and the darkness cannot touch what God Himself has claimed. Chosen one, heaven has written your name in places no enemy can erase. When God marks a soul, He also seals it, and that seal carries His authority. Your identity has shifted. You are no longer who pain said you were, no longer defined by rejection, failure, or fear. Heaven has imprinted its fingerprint upon your spirit, and that divine mark is visible in the unseen realm. Angels recognize it. Darkness fears it. There is something extraordinary about being named by God. Before this moment, the world tried to label you too broken, too strange, too emotional, too different. But those labels have just been burned away in holy fire. Heaven is renaming you, even now, redeemed, restored, sealed, favored. You have been given a new spiritual name, one that only heaven and your destiny understand. This is what it means to carry the seal of heaven. It's not a mark of status, but of belonging. The seal does not make you untouchable because you're perfect. It makes you untouchable because you are protected. God's claim over your life is not fragile. It is absolute. The very breath that spoke galaxies into existence has declared ownership over your soul. You are His, and nothing can rewrite what He has written. Every voice that once spoke against you will soon fall silent. The same mouths that gossiped will witness grace. The same eyes that doubted you will see divine evidence. When heaven seals someone, even enemies are forced to acknowledge it. That is why peace follows you where there used to be conflict. The mark has changed your atmosphere. The ancient text reveals it clearly. The Apostle John wrote in the Revelation, chapter 3, verse 12, I will write on them the name of my God and the name of the city of my God. I will also write on them my new name. Let that settle in your spirit. You are not forgotten, you are inscribed. The name of God is upon you. That means everywhere you walk, His presence walks with you. Every time you speak, His authority echoes through your words. Every place your feet touch becomes a potential miracle zone, because the seal on your life declares ownership by heaven. It is time to walk differently now, not in fear, not in hesitation, but in holy confidence. The mark is invisible to the eye, but undeniable to the spirit. When you enter a room, peace will rise. When you pray, the atmosphere will shift. When you move forward in faith, doors that resisted you will swing open. Not because of your effort, but because of the signature you carry. This is why you must never apologize for being chosen. Never shrink to make others comfortable with your calling. The seal is sacred. Don't let the opinions of the unmarked make you doubt it. You are not here to be accepted by crowds. You are here to represent the kingdom. Heaven didn't mark you to impress people. It marked you to impact them. And chosen one, as you listen, know this: God is not only sealing your soul, He is sealing your legacy. The blessing will not stop with you. Everything connected to your obedience will carry protection, your household, your dreams, your future generations. The seal extends beyond time. It is generational insurance in the spirit. Now, let your heart breathe in gratitude. This message finds you because heaven wants to remind you that you are seen, not scrolled past. You are heard, not forgotten. You are cherished beyond measure. The very fact that you are reading these words means the divine has orchestrated a reminder that your life still matters in the grand design of eternity. So before you go, pause and let gratitude rise. Whisper a thank you to the one who sealed you when everyone else doubted you. Then, if this message speaks to your spirit, share it not for numbers, but for souls. Someone else needs to remember that they, too, are marked. When you share, you become a messenger of light, extending the same reassurance you just received. If you haven't yet, subscribe and stay connected. This is not a digital page, it's a sanctuary of the chosen. Each message is another reminder of who you truly are. By staying, you're joining a circle of marked ones who are learning to walk in victory, day by day, like this message, not out of habit, but as an act of agreement, a silent amen to heaven's word over your life. Every interaction is a ripple of faith that might reach someone in their breaking point. Chosen one. The seal is permanent. The name is written. The mark is alive upon you. Walk boldly, for heaven itself recognizes you now. Chosen one. The moment of marking is sacred. Heaven doesn't move randomly, it moves with purpose. Right now, in this very space between your breath and the next, something divine is being written over your life. You may not see it, but your spirit feels it. There's a holy stillness wrapping around you, like the calm before a sunrise. Heaven is sealing your identity. This isn't imagination, this is impartation. Everything you've been through has led to this moment. The broken seasons, the prayers that went unanswered, the nights that never seemed to end, they were all the setup for what is unfolding now. The mark is not just a symbol, it's a transfer of authority. Heaven is placing upon you the invisible crown of ownership. You are being set apart for divine use. This moment is not emotional hype, it's sacred reality. The Spirit of God is leaning close, saying, "This one belongs to me." And once that declaration is spoken in heaven, no power in hell can reverse it. The mark is divine identification. It tells every spirit, every situation, every adversary who you are and whose you are. Think of it when Israel painted lamb's blood on their doors. Destruction passed them by. When the prophet Ezekiel saw a vision, the righteous were marked before judgment fell. That same principle is alive right now. Heaven marks what it intends to preserve. You are being preserved for purpose. The chaos around you cannot claim you anymore. The storms that once touched you will now pass over. The ancient word confirms this eternal truth. The prophet recorded in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 9, verse 4, "Put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and groan over all the abominations that are committed." It's the same spirit today. God marks the hearts that still feel deeply, the souls who mourn the brokenness of the world, the ones who intercede instead of criticize. You are one of them. That's why you've always felt different. You feel pain others ignore. You sense shifts others can't explain. You are spiritually awake in a world that prefers sleep. That awareness is not weakness, it's evidence of calling. As the mark rests upon you, you'll notice transformation in subtle ways. Old desires will lose their pull. Old circles will feel unfamiliar. You'll crave holiness instead of attention, peace instead of applause. The mark changes your appetite. You begin to hunger for what heaven feeds. You'll find yourself more sensitive to truth, more allergic to deception, more aware of spiritual energy in your surroundings. Don't be alarmed by the change. Embrace it. You are evolving into the version heaven designed. The mark upgrades your discernment, your purpose, and your authority. You are stepping into a realm where ordinary rules no longer apply. What used to intimidate you will now bow before you. The authority of heaven is active in your words, your walk, your worship. But this moment is also a call to alignment. A mark without obedience becomes dormant. Heaven's seal on your life must be matched with surrender in your actions. Don't resist what God is reshaping. Let Him. Every delay, every discomfort, every divine no is sculpting you into the vessel you were meant to be. You are not losing, you are being refined for glory. And because you are sealed, attacks will still come, but they will bounce off. The bloodline of protection surrounds you. Nightmares will fade. Fear will lose its language. You are stepping into the untouchable zone of divine grace. Every time you feel spiritual heaviness, remember, it's only pressing against the outer walls of your protection. It cannot cross the threshold marked by heaven's hand. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. You don't need another sign. The atmosphere already testifies. God is not waiting for you to prove yourself. He is waiting for you to receive what He's already declared. You are chosen, marked, and sealed. This isn't the beginning of belief. It's the beginning of manifestation. The heavens know your name, and the earth will soon echo it. Now pause. Take a slow breath. Let that divine truth settle into your spirit. Heaven has found you. The mark rests upon you glowing, living, breathing as evidence that you are not forgotten, not forsaken, and not finished. If you can feel that confirmation burning deep within, respond as an act of faith. Type 444 inches, the comments not as superstition, but as agreement. 4 represents completion and stability, the foundation of divine order. When you write it, you're declaring, my mark is established, my covering is secure, my purpose is in place. It is your written covenant with heaven that you receive this sealing completely. Chosen one. Everything shifts after this. You are not the same person who began this message. Something eternal has settled inside you. Walk now with the quiet boldness of the marked gentle, yet powerful, humble, yet unstoppable. Heaven smiles upon you. The mark burns bright. The journey continues. Chosen one, there was a time when you mistook loneliness for abandonment, when you believed that being set apart meant being unloved. You looked around and saw others connecting easily, moving forward quickly, surrounded by people while you sat in silence, trying to make sense of your solitude. But heaven whispers now, you were never being punished, you were being prepared. Isolation was not your rejection, it was your divine initiation. God does not train His warriors in crowds. He takes them to the wilderness, far from the noise, far from the applause, far from the opinions that could shape them before He does. The wilderness is heaven's university, and your tears were its tuition. While others were busy performing, you were being transformed. Every quiet night became a classroom. Every unanswered prayer was a lesson in endurance. In that hidden season, heaven stripped away the voices that distracted you, the people who diluted you, and the patterns that confined you. You thought you were losing everyone, but you were actually meeting yourself, the version of you that heaven intended. The silence you hated was the space where God began to speak clearly. You learned that peace is not found in noise, but in nearness to the divine. The loneliness refined you. It exposed your attachments. It showed you who truly belonged and who was only there for convenience. Some walked away because they were never assigned to your destiny. Others were removed because their presence would have hindered your growth. The pruning was painful, but necessary. You couldn't carry everyone into the next level. The higher the calling, the smaller the circle. You were being equipped for a kind of strength that crowds cannot teach. You learned how to stand without validation, how to worship without witness, how to survive without applause. You learned that the absence of company is not the absence of God. You discovered that divine companionship outweighs human attention. In the wilderness, you found what multitudes could never give you: intimacy with the one who chose you. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verse 3, "We rejoice in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope." That hope is what carried you through the silence. It is what whispered, "Keep going," when nothing made sense. You didn't realize it, but every day of solitude was strengthening your inner man. Heaven was building your foundation deep, so that when the world finally saw you, you wouldn't crumble under the weight of visibility. Chosen one. There are lessons only learned in obscurity. The wilderness removes distractions, so revelation can take root. You had to be stripped of what was familiar to become fluent in faith. You had to lose control to learn trust. You had to walk alone so that your discernment could mature. The quiet was your cocoon. You were transforming while others were simply performing. And now, something inside you feels different. The noise of the world doesn't attract you the way it used to. Shallow conversations drain you. You crave depth, truth, authenticity. That's how you know you've graduated from isolation into intimacy. You've learned to enjoy your own company because you've realized that God dwells within it. You are no longer lonely, you are full. When others ran from stillness, you stayed. When others feared silence, you embraced it. That's why your spirit carries peace that others can't explain. They will wonder how you stay calm when storms rage, how you keep faith when evidence fades. It's because you've been trained in the silence. You've already wrestled your doubts and found peace on the other side. Every chosen soul must walk through this sacred solitude. Even Jesus withdrew to the mountains to pray. Every prophet faced their cave. Every leader their hidden years. The pattern is the same: isolation before elevation, silence before sound, wilderness before wonder. You were not forgotten, you were being formed. Now, when you step back into the world, do not despise the season that made you. The quiet crafted your clarity. The emptiness carved space for the divine. The solitude birthed strength that cannot be shaken. Those who once pitied your loneliness will soon envy your peace. So hold your head high. Chosen one. The years of hiddenness were not wasted. They were invested. Heaven was teaching you to see differently, to listen deeply, and to move wisely. You were not waiting for your time was waiting for you to be ready. The silence has ended. The preparation is complete. You are stepping out now, not as who you were, but as who you've become: refined, resilient, radiant. The world will see the glory, but heaven remembers the process. You were never alone. You were being trained by God Himself in the language of stillness. And now, every step you take carries the power of that private communion. You no longer fear solitude, for it has become your sanctuary. Chosen one, you were hidden for a reason, and now you will be revealed for a purpose. Chosen one, the time has come when heaven silences the noise that once surrounded you. The mocking voices, the skeptical whispers, the endless opinions that tried to define you, they are fading. The sound of human doubt is losing volume because divine truth is taking center stage. For too long, the world spoke over what heaven had already declared. But now, God Himself speaks, and every other voice must bow to His word. You know the sting of being misunderstood. You've watched people assume the worst, twist your intentions, and question your calling. They saw fragments of your story and thought they knew the whole book. They measured your process without understanding your purpose. Some rejected you because they could not categorize you. Others doubted you because you moved differently. They called your obedience strange, your faith naive, your hope unrealistic. But heaven was watching the whole time, keeping silent while you were falsely accused. God didn't defend you immediately, not because He agreed with them, but because He was giving them time to see. Sometimes, vindication takes time so that when it arrives, no one can deny it. Your restraint was not weakness, it was divine wisdom. You learned to let God finish what others tried to frame. Chosen one, the silence of God is not the absence of justice. It is the patience of perfection. Every false word spoken against you has already been recorded in heaven's court. And in that same court, the judge has already ruled not guilty. The case against you is dismissed, and the verdict is vindication. God Himself will make it clear who was right all along. The enemy tried to use words to wound you because he knew you had a tender heart. But what the enemy didn't expect was that your heart, though wounded, would become wiser. You have learned not to argue with falsehood. You've learned that peace is the loudest response to slander. You've discovered that the more you explain yourself, the less you're understood. But the moment you surrender it to God, the truth begins to fight for itself. You no longer chase validation because you have found revelation. Heaven says your value was never in their approval. Your worth is not up for debate. It was settled at the cross. You don't need applause when you have assurance. You don't need recognition when you have revelation. Those who once questioned you will soon quote you. Those who dismissed you will soon need what you carry. The psalmist wrote these timeless words of comfort in the 3rd chapter. Verse 3, "But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high." Let that promise sink deep into your spirit. Chosen one, God Himself lifts your head. You no longer have to defend yourself, prove yourself, or justify the journey. The Lord is your shield, not just protection from harm, but also protection from humiliation. Every word that once wounded you is being rewritten as testimony. There will be a moment soon when those who doubted you will witness the favor surrounding you. They will see doors open that no one expected. Hear blessings attached to your name that no one imagined. They will realize that it wasn't arrogance keeping you quiet, it was grace. Heaven didn't need your explanation, it needed your endurance. And now, endurance has done its work. When God begins to elevate, He does it silently at first. He allows the same people who gossiped about you to witness your transformation. But notice this, you won't need to say, "I told you so." The evidence will speak. The anointing will speak. The fruit will speak. And when it does, even your enemies will have to confess that the hand of God has always been upon you. You are entering a season where heaven will restore your reputation, the same way God defended Daniel in the lion's den. He will defend you without a word. Your peace will be your vindication. Your glow will be your proof. When God lifts you, no voice can pull you down. No rumor can stain your name. No shadow can dim your light. Chosen one, take this as your assurance. The voices of doubt have served their purpose. They taught you to rely on the only voice that matters, the voice that calls you beloved, chosen, marked, and unstoppable. You no longer answer to your critics, you answer to your Creator. Let the whispers fade. Let the mockers go silent. Their chapter in your story is complete. From here on, only truth speaks. Only grace echoes. And only heaven writes the narrative. The voices of doubt are gone, and all that remains is the sound of victory. Chosen one, there is something extraordinary happening inside you, a quiet ignition, a holy awakening. You may not see it with your eyes, but the light within you has intensified. It has grown too bright for the shadows that once surrounded you. You felt it lately, the sudden shift in atmosphere when you enter a space, the unease in others when you speak truth, the resistance that comes from nowhere. It's not coincidence, it's evidence. The light in you is now exposing darkness around you. This isn't about arrogance or superiority. It's about alignment. When God marks someone, darkness can no longer coexist peacefully with them. You've been wondering why some people have grown distant, why certain relationships suddenly became uncomfortable. It's because your presence now convicts what is not clean. The mark on you radiates holiness, and anything counterfeit cannot survive near it. The more you carry light, the more you'll notice hidden things revealing themselves. Conversations will expose motives. Smiles will unveil hypocrisy. Masks will fall. That's the power of divine illumination. It doesn't just brighten your path, it exposes what hides in shadows. And though that exposure can feel painful, it is protection. God is showing you who's real before you step into your next level. There was a time you prayed for clarity. You wanted to see who was truly for you. Heaven answered, not by revealing secrets in dreams, but by activating your spiritual light. That light makes pretenders uncomfortable. You are not cursed because people leave. You are being cleared for purity. The atmosphere around you is being sanctified. You are becoming a living revelation. The glow you carry is not just spiritual, it will manifest in your demeanor, your speech, even your silence. People will sense that something about you is different. Some will be drawn to it, others will be irritated by it. Don't dim yourself to keep their comfort. You were not chosen to blend in, you were chosen to stand out. The Apostle John wrote these eternal words in the Gospel of John. Chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Darkness cannot overcome what heaven has ordained to shine. That is why every plan, spell, or curse that tried to target you failed. It wasn't because you fought harder, it was because you burned brighter. You are wrapped in light, and darkness cannot hold light hostage. Every demonic agenda dissolves in the radiance of your obedience. Chosen one, your presence is warfare. Every time you enter a place, light enters with you. The room shifts. The atmosphere changes. The unspoken begins to tremble. Some will sense conviction and not even understand why. That is the mark, the divine radiation of heaven's fingerprint upon your spirit. You no longer just live in the world, you influence the world around you with the essence of divine energy. But understand this truth: carrying light means carrying responsibility. The brighter you shine, the more careful you must be with your words and thoughts. You cannot fight darkness with darkness. You are not called to expose through anger, but through authenticity. When light reveals, it heals. When you speak truth, do it in love. When you discern deception, pray for deliverance. That is how you operate as a true bearer of light, fierce but compassionate, bold but humble. There will be moments when the exposure feels heavy. You'll see truths you wish you could unsee. You'll sense pain in people's hearts before they speak. Don't let the weight of revelation discourage you. Instead, let it refine your compassion. God trusts you with what others can't handle because you've proven you won't misuse what you see. As your discernment sharpens, so does your influence. Heaven is turning your awareness into authority. The more you see clearly, the more power you carry to intercede, to shift atmospheres, to command peace where chaos once reigned. This is what it means to walk as a marked one, not just shining for yourself, but shining on behalf of others still trapped in the dark. You are not meant to hide this light. The world is starving for authenticity, for truth, for holiness that isn't loud but luminous. You are that light. Chosen one, every word you speak, every act of kindness, every moment of obedience releases beams that pierce through deception. You are heaven's lantern, carried into places that forgot what real love feels like. And now, heaven calls for your agreement, not for show, but for spiritual confirmation. Type light wins. Those two words carry prophetic force. When you write them, you are declaring to your surroundings, to your home, your family, your workplace, your city, that darkness no longer has authority here. You are prophesying victory into the atmosphere. It's not just a comment, it's a decree. Every time you affirm, light wins. Heaven echoes it. Every demon hears it. Every shadow retreats. You are reinforcing the truth written from the beginning: light cannot be overcome. So walk in that light. Chosen one, let your glow confront what pretends. Let your peace silence what panics. You don't have to fight for recognition. Light reveals itself. Simply stay pure. Stay humble. Stay radiant. For even when darkness gathers, remember, your light was never borrowed. It was born from heaven, and it will keep burning long after the storm ends. You are the proof that light still wins. Chosen one, there comes a point when heaven's covering becomes visible not to your physical eyes, but to everything in the unseen world. That's where you are now. You've stepped under a mantle that makes you untouchable. The same hands that shaped the galaxies have draped over you, a cloak of protection. Every thread of that mantle is woven with grace, mercy, and purpose. You are not just surviving under God's watch, you are moving under His protection. There were days when you felt exposed, vulnerable, attacked from every side. You wondered if your prayers reached past the ceiling. You couldn't understand why you faced so much opposition. But now, heaven reveals the truth. The warfare was never proof of God's absence. It was the process that unlocked His mantle. When everything came against you and still couldn't break you, heaven decided it was time to cover you in glory. You have been given spiritual immunity. What used to harm you now has no power. Words that once pierced you will fall silent. Energies that once drained you will fade before they reach you. It's not pride, it's protection. God has drawn a circle around you and written His name within it. That means no curse can cross it. No scheme can survive it. And no spirit of fear can dwell in it. Even when shadows whisper at the edge of your light, they cannot cross that sacred boundary. You stand in divine territory, now guarded ground, holy ground. Every threat is met by angels before it nears your door. You are not exposed, you are enveloped by the promise of protection. This shield is not temporary, it's generational. The same covering resting upon you will extend to those connected to your obedience. Every prayer you whisper strengthens the circle around your lineage. You are establishing a fortress of faith, an invisible inheritance that ensures no darkness will prevail against your family line again. The psalmist revealed this secret covering long ago. In the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 4, it is written, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart." That's what you live beneath now, the wings of protection, the shield of faithfulness. It's not an invisible wish, it's a living promise. Even when you walk into hostile spaces, that covering moves with you. It is not limited by location, distance, or circumstance. The same covering that shelters you in prayer follows you into the boardroom, the classroom, the street, the storm. Chosen one, the mantle upon you does not mean life will be easy, but it guarantees you will always be safe within divine intention. You might still feel pressure, but you will never again be crushed. You might see storms, but they cannot consume you. You might sense enemies forming plans, but every one of them collapses before completion. That's the nature of this protection. It turns attacks into lessons and trials into testimonies. Now that heaven has wrapped you in its wings, your peace becomes dangerous to darkness. When you rest, it shakes. When you smile, it trembles. When you remain calm while chaos unfolds, it panics. Because your peace is not passive, it is weaponized faith. The mantle makes your silence louder than accusation, your endurance more powerful than retaliation. You don't need to defend your name, the mantle does it for you. You don't need to chase validation, the covering commands it. Every good thing that left your life under pressure will return in purity. Every false word will dissolve in truth. You are protected by the very presence that once parted seas and silenced storms. And chosen one, this is the moment to recognize how precious that grace is. Don't rush past it. Let gratitude fill the space where fear once lived. Whisper your thanks not out of habit, but out of awe. The fact that you are still here is not luck. It's evidence. Evidence that the mantle works. Evidence that the promise stands. If these words speak to your spirit, Share them not as content, but as confirmation. There are others walking through storms right now, believing they are uncovered. When you share, you become part of heaven's rescue mission, reminding someone that refuge is real. If this message stirred peace in your soul, like it not for vanity, but as a sign of agreement, a quiet yes. Lord, I'm under your wings. Every click becomes a ripple of faith that can reach another heart, ready to be reminded that safety still exists in the arms of God. And if you haven't yet, subscribe not to a channel, but to the rhythm of reminders heaven sends here. Stay connected, not because of me, but because of the messages that find you when you need them most. Together, we create a refuge of faith across this space, a gathering of the marked, the covered, the chosen. So breathe deeply under that divine mantle. Walk with the confidence of one clothed in heaven's fabric. You are not fragile anymore. You are fortified. You are not prey to chaos. You are protected by covenant. The covering is alive. Chosen one, and wherever you go from here, remember the feathers of God still stretch wide above you, and nothing beneath them can touch you. Chosen one, there comes a divine exchange, a moment when heaven begins to replace what was stolen, to restore what was lost, and to rewrite what was broken. You are stepping into that season now. The days of depletion are over. Everything the enemy touched is being reversed. Everything the enemy delayed is being accelerated. The divine law of restoration is now active over your life. For so long, you poured out while others only took. You gave when no one gave back. You supported when no one supported you. You remained loyal when others were only watching for your fall. Heaven saw every act of faithfulness, every quiet sacrifice, every seed sown in pain. None of it was wasted. Those tears, those nights of holding on by a thread, they were currency in the spirit. And now, heaven is honoring that investment. God is not just replacing things, He is redeeming time. What you lost over years will return in moments. The restoration will not be subtle, it will be undeniable. The very places of your pain will become platforms of praise. The very mouths that mocked you will have to speak of your transformation. Divine replacement doesn't only restore what was stolen, it multiplies it. You will look at your life and see abundance where there was once lack, laughter where there was once mourning, light where there was once shadow. This is what happens when the hand of God moves. It restores in layers, outwardly in circumstance, inwardly in confidence, and spiritually in authority. You will begin to feel strength returning to places that once felt weak. The passion that faded under disappointment will rekindle. Dreams that went dormant will awaken with new direction. Heaven is not giving you replicas of what you lost, it's giving you something purer, stronger, and aligned with who you have become. Sometimes, restoration doesn't look like what you expected. People may not come back, but peace will. Opportunities may not reopen, but better ones will. God replaces not by returning the old, but by releasing the divine equivalent of what you truly needed all along. That's why the replacements often surprise you. You will see new doors where there used to be walls, new allies where there used to be adversaries, new purpose where there used to be confusion. The prophet Joel once declared the promise that echoes across ages, and it now applies to you. In the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, it is written, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Every wasted year is being rewritten. Every delay that caused despair is becoming divine strategy. God is not only giving you back the harvest, He is giving you back the time it took to grow it. You are about to accomplish in 1 year what would have taken 10 without divine acceleration. This is not exaggeration, it's restitution. Heaven always repays with interest. Chosen one, you must understand, divine replacement doesn't come as compensation for pain. It comes as confirmation of purpose. You endured so much not to stay wounded, but to become a carrier of wisdom. The lessons you learned in loss have become the framework for your leadership. You cannot be shaken easily anymore because you have seen both devastation and restoration. You have learned how to hold peace in the middle of pressure. That is the mark of maturity. Even relationships will shift in this season. Those who were removed will be replaced by people who recognize your worth. Where there was betrayal, loyalty will arrive. Where there was silence, support will speak. You will no longer have to chase connection. The right ones will find you by divine magnetism. The energy of your obedience will attract alignment. Financial restoration is also unfolding. What once slipped through your fingers will now multiply in your hands. The favor resting upon your work will draw opportunities effortlessly. You will see ideas prosper and doors open without manipulation. God is rebuilding your resources with the same care He used to rebuild your heart. The harvest will be abundant, but it will not corrupt your character. You will know how to carry prosperity with purity because you've been trained in the wilderness of lack. And within your soul, peace will settle again. You will laugh without fear of loss. You will rest without fear of betrayal. You will dream without fear of disappointment. Every scar that once burned will now glow as testimony. This is the beauty of restoration. It doesn't erase the memory. It transforms the meaning. The pain that once defined you will now only remind you of how far grace has carried you. Do not resist this season because of disbelief. Receive it. Heaven restores only what you are willing to hold again. Make room in your heart for new beginnings. Make space in your spirit for blessings that exceed imagination. The replacements coming will fit perfectly, not too early, not too late, but exactly on time. Chosen one, you've paid the price of perseverance. You've walked through the fire and come out refined. Now, watch as God replaces ashes with beauty, sorrow with song, and defeat with dominion. What was once stolen is being rewritten in glory. What was once lost is finding its way home to you. The season of empty hands is over. Heaven is filling them again this time, with things that will last. Chosen one, sometimes God doesn't repair your story, He rewrites it. He doesn't tape together the pages that were torn. He hands you a new scroll, one written in light, sealed with His promise, and signed by His hand. What you're stepping into now is not a recovery, it's a rebirth. Heaven is not restoring the old version of you, it's releasing the one that pain prepared. You are not who you were a year ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. Every season that broke you was rewriting something inside you. The rejections that humiliated you became the chapters that humbled you. The heartbreak that shattered your confidence became the paragraph that revealed your strength. Every sentence of your story has been edited by grace, line by line, until the plot turned from tragedy to testimony. You may not have seen it, but God has been your ghostwriter working in the margins, correcting what the enemy tried to erase. and turning every failed plan into divine poetry. Heaven has been rewriting you not to impress others, but to express truth through you. You are no longer a victim of what happened. You are the vessel that carries redemption. The story you thought was over is only now reaching its climax. The ending that once seemed hopeless is being rewritten into glory. And when you look back, you'll realize nothing was wasted. Every loss, every tear, every silent night, every closed door, every no, it was all divine punctuation, pausing your story until heaven was ready to release the next sentence. Chosen one, the world will soon see what heaven has been scripting. The same place that mocked you will witness your rise. The same voices that doubted you will echo your victory. And you will not need revenge, because restoration speaks louder than retaliation. The ancient story of Joseph still whispers through eternity. Sold by brothers, forgotten in prison, betrayed and bruised, yet destined to rule. The same people who left him in chains had to return to him for bread. God turned betrayal into a bridge, pain into purpose, loss into leadership. That same grace is upon your life. As it is written in the first book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive." Let that revelation settle into your soul. Every event that tried to destroy you has become divine construction. Every fall built a foundation. Every delay produced depth. What the enemy planned as an ending, God has converted into your elevation. You are living proof that divine detours lead to destiny. You didn't take the wrong path, you took the protected one. What seemed like failure was actually redirection. God was editing your route, removing roads that led to ruin, and guiding you through places that refined your character. Now, you carry both wisdom and wounds, but neither defines you, they serve you. In this new chapter, your name carries new weight. You no longer speak from pain but from power. You no longer react to storms, you command peace through them. You are not waiting for validation, you are walking in revelation. That is what happens when God rewrites a story. He removes the desperation to be understood and replaces it with the peace of being chosen. Even the memories that once haunted you are now healed. They no longer sting, they sing. They remind you of survival, of grace, of how heaven can turn graves into gardens. You were never buried, you were being planted. What grew out of that soil was stronger, purer, wiser, radiant with purpose. The story has changed. Chosen one. And so have you. There is a new rhythm to your steps, a new light in your eyes, a new authority in your words. You walk differently because you know the author personally now. You trust him enough to let him write without interference. You no longer fear the unknown because you've seen what he can do with broken plots. This is your prophetic moment, your confirmation that the rewriting is complete. Heaven has turned the final page of your suffering and opened the first page of your glory. The next line written about you will not be loss, but legacy, if your spirit agrees. Write 555 inches, the comments not as ritual, but as recognition. 5 is the number of grace, and 555 declares multiplied grace. When you type it, you are aligning your life with the truth that grace has rewritten your story. It's a declaration that the old draft is over and the divine version begins now. Every time you say 555, you are reminding both heaven and earth. My story belongs to God. You are announcing that no author but Him has the right to hold the pen. You are affirming that from this day forward, the narrative of your life will carry redemption, joy, and supernatural peace. Chosen one, take courage. The rewrite is finished. The author of eternity has written your name into victory, and soon the world will read what heaven has already proclaimed. You were never defeated, only redesigned. Chosen one, when heaven marks you, it doesn't just leave a glow, it equips you. You have been given divine armor, not crafted by human hands, but forged in the fire of your own trials. This armor is not something you wear occasionally. It has become part of who you are. Every season of pain has turned into a shield, every lesson into a weapon, every prayer into armor that cannot rust. You used to wonder why the warfare never stopped, why the pressure kept increasing, why every victory seemed to come with another test. Now you understand God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. Each battle was a fitting session. Heaven was measuring your endurance, molding your discernment, strengthening your stance. You weren't being attacked because you were weak. You were being trained because you are chosen. There were times you wanted to run from the fight, to retreat and hide from the chaos. But heaven didn't allow it. Not because you were being abandoned, but because you were being anointed for command. You are not a passive participant in the spiritual realm. You are a soldier of light. You've been clothed with unseen armor that fits only you. In the natural, soldiers prepare for war with weapons of steel, but your weapons are made of spirit forged through prayer, humility, and truth. Every time you forgave instead of retaliating, your armor grew thicker. Every time you trusted instead of panicking, your shield strengthened. Every time you praised instead of complaining, your sword sharpened. You've been armed by obedience. The apostle revealed this mystery clearly. In the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, it is written, "Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." This armor is more than metaphor. It is spiritual reality. The belt of truth guards your perception. No lie can manipulate you anymore. The breastplate of righteousness covers your heart. Guilt can no longer penetrate it. The shoes of peace guide your steps. Chaos can no longer dictate your direction. The shield of faith extinguishes every fiery dart. Doubt no longer defines your decisions. The helmet of salvation protects your mind. Fear no longer has permission to live there. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, gives you authority to speak and see results in the unseen. You have not been left defenseless. Chosen one, you are fully clothed in light. You carry armor that responds to your faith, not your feelings. When your confidence fades, your obedience keeps you covered. When your strength runs low, your surrender activates heaven's reinforcement. You are never fighting alone. Angels align beside you. The Spirit empowers you, and the presence of God goes before you. This is why the enemy's attacks fail faster now. You are too equipped to fall for old tactics. The lies that once worked against you have lost their power. The fear that once silenced you now fuels your prayer. You've learned the rhythm of warfare, not panic, but peace, not reaction, but revelation. You fight from victory, not for it. And in this season, your armor will not only protect it, will reflect Light will bounce off every piece, blinding what tries to harm you. Demons will recognize you before you speak, because the armor carries heaven's frequency. You won't need to shout to be powerful. Your presence will carry authority. That is the gift of the marked quiet dominance in the spirit. You've also been given discernment, the shield that detects before danger appears. When something feels off, trust that sense. The spirit within you whispers long before trouble arrives. You no longer need to fight every battle. Some are won simply by knowing when to stay still. Discernment is your strategy. Silence can be your sword. Chosen one. The armor is also relational. It covers your family, your purpose, your future. Your obedience has created spiritual shelter over those connected to you. The armor around you forms a circle of protection around everything you love. When you pray, the covering expands. Faith has that kind of reach. But remember, armor unused gathers dust. It must be worn daily through devotion. Each morning you rise. You are stepping back into that divine armor. Every word you speak is a swing of the sword. Every act of kindness is a blow against darkness. Every moment you stand firm in faith is a declaration of dominion. Do not fear the next battle, for the warrior in you has already been tested and proven. You have survived the ambushes that were meant to break you. Now you stand unshakable. You are not fragile faith. You are fortified faith. You are not a wanderer. You are a warrior wrapped in light. So, walk clothed in heaven's armor. Move with the grace of one who knows they are covered. The world may see only a calm soul, but the spirit realm sees a blazing warrior. The marked ones do not fight with noise, they fight with knowing. And you, chosen one, now know who you are, chosen one. As heaven refines you, something extraordinary begins to awaken within authority. Not the kind built on ego or control, but the quiet, unstoppable power that comes from divine alignment. This authority doesn't roar, it resonates. It doesn't demand attention, it commands peace. You have walked through enough storms to now speak to them. The voice of heaven echoes through yours, and creation responds. Authority in the kingdom is not about position, it's about permission. You carry authority because you've been permitted by heaven to operate under its name. You have passed the tests of humility, obedience, and endurance. You have learned to listen before you lead, to surrender before you speak, to trust before you act. That is why heaven can now trust you with its power. Authority without surrender breeds arrogance, but authority born of obedience breeds miracles. There is a new weight on your words. When you declare peace, it settles. When you rebuke fear, it leaves. When you intercede, heaven responds swiftly. That's because you no longer pray as a beggar, you pray as a son, as a daughter, as one who carries heaven's signature. The realm of darkness recognizes your voice now, not because of your volume, but because of your validity. You have the mark, and that mark carries rank. The Lord himself made this truth known through his Son. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, it is written, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you." These words are not symbolic poetry, they are a legal decree. You have been authorized to walk in dominion. Every attack that once terrified you must now bow under your feet. Every chain that once bound you has become material for your crown. Authority means you don't fight from fear, you rule from faith. You are not waiting for deliverance, you are walking in it. The marked ones carry this authority not to dominate others, but to liberate them. You are a carrier of breakthrough. Your very presence shifts atmospheres because it carries the frequency of heaven. Where others bring confusion, you bring clarity. Where others bring fear, you bring stillness. You don't just pray for change, you become the embodiment of it. You've noticed it already, how certain conversations stop when you enter a room, how tension dissolves when you speak gently, how peace follows you like a shadow. That's not coincidence, that's consequence. The authority resting on you changes environments before you even say a word. It's the evidence of divine government functioning through you. But chosen one, remember, the greater the authority, the deeper the humility required to sustain it. Power without reverence becomes pride, and pride is poison to purpose. That's why heaven took you through seasons of breaking before granting you this mantle. You had to learn dependency, not domination. You had to learn that authority in the kingdom looks like servanthood, not superiority. You are powerful because you are submitted. This is the paradox of divine power. The more surrendered you become, the more unstoppable you are. Heaven doesn't empower rebels, it empowers the obedient. That's why your authority will always flow in proportion to your intimacy with God. Stay near to His presence, and your words will never lose their weight. From this day forward, you are not just surviving spiritual warfare, you are commanding it. You will discern battles before they begin and silence storms before they speak. Your life will become an intercession in motion. You will walk into places heavy with fear and leave them soaked in peace. You will speak to chaos and it will obey, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you. And understand, this authority does not need recognition to function. You do not need titles, platforms, or applause. The spirit realm already knows your name. Heaven announces you in whispers, not headlines. Your strength will always be in your stillness, your influence in your integrity. Chosen one, you are the calm in the storm, the anchor in uncertainty, the vessel of divine command. You don't need to prove your power. Your peace is proof enough. The shadows may try to rise again, but you now know they are subject to your word. When you say peace, heaven enforces it. When you declare enough, hell retreats. This is what it means to walk in true spiritual authority, not to control the world, but to bring heaven into it. Every step you take, every word you speak, every act of love you give releases the government of God on earth. You are not just marked for survival, you are crowned for dominion. Walk in that quiet power. Let your authority serve others, heal others, free others. For when heaven gave you this mantle, it wasn't just for your protection, it was for transformation. You have become a living decree of divine order. Chosen one, the time has come for your crowning. You have been tested, refined, and proven in silence. You have walked through fire and rain, through betrayal and stillness, through warfare and waiting, and through it all, you remained faithful. Heaven is not only rewarding your endurance, it is revealing your royalty. You are about to sit at the table prepared for you, surrounded by those who once doubted that you would ever make it this far. This is the moment where honor meets humility. You will not need to announce yourself. The fruit of your endurance will do that for you. The crown is not a decoration, it is identification. It symbolizes who you have become through obedience. Every tear you cried was a jewel. Every act of forgiveness was gold. Every season of silence was silver. Every moment you stood firm was a thread of glory woven into your crown. The psalmist spoke of this sacred moment with divine precision. In the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5, it is written, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." This is exactly what heaven is doing for you. You are being crowned not in secret, but in sight of those who underestimated you. God doesn't expose them to shame them. He reveals you to remind them that His favor cannot be fabricated. You were not promoted by people. You were positioned by promise. The oil that flows over you now is the confirmation of heaven's selection. Chosen one. When God crowns someone, He doesn't remove the memories of the battle, He redeems them. Every scar becomes a symbol of sovereignty. Every wound that once hurt now glows with wisdom. You will look at your reflection and no longer see pain. You will see purpose. The same hands that carried your burdens now lift your head to receive your crown. Do not mistake this moment for arrival. The crown is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your influence. You were not crowned for comfort. You were crowned for calling. The crown carries weight because it represents authority. And that authority is meant to serve, not dominate. True kings and queens in the kingdom lead by love, not by control. You will inspire through example, not intimidation. You will heal through humility, not hierarchy. As you rise, remember the quiet nights that shaped you. Remember the hidden seasons that strengthened you. Never despise where you came from, for your humility will keep your crown steady. Pride makes crowns slip. Gratitude keeps them secure. Every time you remember what you endured, you'll handle your power with compassion. There will be those who question your blessing, wondering why it came to you. They will not understand that you earned it not by striving, but by surrender. You never chased fame, you chased faithfulness. You didn't seek crowns, you sought closeness with God. And heaven always crowns intimacy. In this moment, pause and let gratitude rise. Whisper a thank you that reaches heaven. You didn't come this far alone, grace carried you. The oil on your head is not just for you, it's for everyone your life will touch. Your overflow will bless others. Your words will heal wounds you never knew existed. Your story will awaken hearts that had forgotten how to hope. Now, chosen one, if this message speaks to your spirit, take a moment to share it, not for numbers, but for names, the names of those still walking through their valley, those who need to know that the same God who crowned you can lift them too. When you share, you become a bridge for someone else's breakthrough. And if your heart feels aligned with this message, like it not as a habit, but as agreement, every click becomes a small echo of worship. A silent, I receive this word. Each like is a light in the algorithm of grace, carrying divine reminders to those who need them most. If you haven't yet, subscribe not just to follow, but to stay connected to the stream of revelation that heaven pours here. These words are not content, they are nourishment for your soul. Each message you receive is another confirmation of your journey, another layer of your armor, another jewel on your crown. And finally, chosen one, Leave a comment, your own reflection. Write what this moment means to you. Let it be personal, honest, sacred, because when you testify, you turn revelation into reality. Your words might be the exact key that unlocks someone else's faith tonight. The crown is on your head, the oil is flowing, and your table is ready. This is not the time to shrink. It's time to rise with grace, to walk with dignity, to reign with compassion. Heaven has announced your promotion now. Walk in it. You are crowned, you are called, and you are covered. Chosen one. Fire has always been part of your journey. It chased you, purified you, and now it lives within you. What once burned to destroy you has become the very power that defines you. You carry fire now, not the kind that consumes in rage, but the kind that refines, illuminates, and sanctifies. This flame is the evidence that heaven has made its home within your soul. The fire you carry is not ordinary. It does not flicker with emotion or fade with doubt. It is divine, eternal, pure, and purposeful. It burns through deception, exposing truth with unrelenting clarity. It purifies your motives, melts away pride, and turns your pain into power. You have become a living altar wherever you go. Heaven touches the earth through your presence. There was a time when this fire frightened you. You didn't understand why you felt things deeply, why you couldn't remain silent when wrong surrounded you, why your spirit reacted to darkness even when your mind wanted peace. You thought it was sensitivity, but it was discernment. The fire in you was already alive, reacting to everything that did not belong to God's order. This fire does not make you aggressive, it makes you awake. It burns away numbness and complacency. It will never let you live half alive again. It calls you higher, constantly drawing you toward holiness. It will not let you settle for mediocrity, because heaven has placed within you a flame that cannot coexist with lukewarmness. You have been set apart, and that distinction is both weight and wonder. Remember how the prophets of old carried fire, not in torches, but in their bones. Jeremiah once confessed that he tried to stay silent, but he couldn't. The word of God was like a fire shut up within him. That same fire now dwells in you. It drives you to speak truth, to love fiercely, to serve with conviction. You don't chase platforms. The fire creates them when necessary. You don't seek recognition. The fire draws attention because divine passion cannot be hidden. You have walked through flames before, but those fires were external circumstances, betrayals, heartbreaks. This fire is internal. It's not a trial, it's transformation. What burned around you was meant to awaken what burns within you. You now understand that true power doesn't come from avoiding heat, but from learning to live in it without being destroyed. When you speak, your words carry warmth and weight. People feel peace when they hear you. Yet conviction too, that's the dual nature of holy fire. It comforts and confronts. It heals but also exposes. This balance is what makes you dangerous to darkness. Your fire both reveals and restores. You don't just light up rooms, you change their temperature. The prophet Jeremiah declared it long ago. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 9, it is written, "His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." That is your reality now. Chosen one, You carry a message that cannot be silenced. Heaven's words vibrate in your spirit, waiting for release through your voice, your art, your actions. You are a messenger of flame sent to ignite hearts that have grown cold. The world around you is full of smoke and ashes. Your calling is to breathe light into it again. This fire is not reckless. It knows when to roar and when to rest. Sometimes it manifests as boldness, an unstoppable courage that rises when injustice appears. Other times it manifests as compassion, a steady warmth that comforts the broken, whether quiet or fierce. The fire is always holy, always purposeful. Because of this fire, darkness cannot stand near you for long. People with hidden agendas will drift away without explanation. Heavy atmospheres will clear when you walk in. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. The flame inside you disarms what is false and attracts what is true. The presence of God in you rearranges the unseen. But the fire must be fed. It thrives on worship, prayer, gratitude, and purity. Starve it with distraction, and it dims. Feed it with surrender, and it blazes. Protect it fiercely, not by hiding it, but by honoring it. Let it burn where God directs, not where emotion demands. The fire is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. And when your steps feel weary, remember, you are not meant to contain this flame forever. You are meant to spread it. Every act of kindness, every prayer whispered for another, every truth spoken with love sends sparks into the world. You are not just chosen to burn, you are chosen to ignite. The fire in you is heaven's answer to the coldness of the world. Let it blaze through your life with purity, with courage, with love. You are a moving altar wherever you go. Holiness follows. Chosen one, the journey has led you here to the ceiling, the completion, the quiet moment where heaven's mark burns permanently within your soul. You are no longer just aware of being chosen. You have become the embodiment of that truth. Every battle, every revelation, every divine whisper has led to this, the final confirmation that you are sealed forever in glory. Heaven does not waste endurance. Every time you stayed faithful when you could have fallen away, every prayer whispered in the dark, every act of obedience that cost you comfort, all of it has built an unshakable covenant. That covenant now glows upon your spirit like eternal light. You are not merely protected, you are preserved. Not just redeemed, but rewritten. Not just called, but commissioned. You have been shaped into something heaven can trust. The seasons of delay have produced depth. The years of heartbreak have refined humility. The wilderness has built wisdom, and the battles have awakened authority. You are no longer fragile faith, you are fortified faith. The days of fear are behind you, because you finally know who walks with you. The glow of your mark does not fade with time. It is not dependent on feeling, nor shaken by failure. It is the unbreakable imprint of divine ownership, the same seal that rests on those whom heaven calls its own. That mark tells the spirit realm that your life is off limits, your destiny untouchable. What was once vulnerable is now invincible under divine decree. This is the seal of eternal belonging, the mark of divine completion. It cannot be removed by time, tarnished by failure, or revoked by the opinions of men. You are sealed not because of what you have done, but because of who He is faithful, steadfast, unchanging. The Apostle Paul wrote words that echo this very truth. In the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 30, it is written, those he predestined, he also called; those he called, he also justified; those he justified, he also glorified. Every word of that verse now breathes in your life. You have been called, justified, and glorified not by the applause of the world, but by the authority of heaven. You stand as living evidence of what divine grace can accomplish in a surrendered heart. You carry both the weight of heaven and the lightness of peace. Chosen one, you have entered a state of divine maturity. The restless striving that once consumed you has ended. You are no longer chasing blessings, you are carrying them. You are no longer waiting for approval, you are walking in acceptance. You have learned that purpose is not performance, it is presence. You carry the presence of God within you now, steady and still, radiant and real. You have also learned that being chosen doesn't mean being exempt from storms, it means being equipped to command calm in them. The waves may rise, but they recognize you now. The winds may blow, but they bow at your voice. The same fire that once tested you has become your mantle of glory. You no longer fear the unknown because you have seen the face of faithfulness. The transformation within you is complete, yet still unfolding, for that is the nature of glory. It grows brighter with time. Every act of love you give, every word of truth you speak, every moment of peace you release increases that radiance. You are no longer waiting for revival, you are carrying it. Your very life has become an altar through which heaven touches earth. Look around. Chosen one, the world still trembles in chaos, but you do not. You walk through it as one who belongs to another dimension, unhurried, unbothered, unbreakable. You bring calm to rooms where anxiety reigns. You bring direction to those lost in confusion. You bring hope to hearts that have forgotten how to dream. This is what the seal of glory does. It turns your very existence into a conduit of peace. Now, even when you are silent, your spirit speaks. Heaven recognizes your stillness as intercession. Angels respond not just to your words, but to your presence. The mark on you is a banner, a divine signature visible in realms unseen. Darkness no longer approaches casually, for it recognizes the authority written upon your life. You are a living decree, a message sent from eternity to time. This sealing is also your sending. You are being released into your divine assignment to heal, to uplift, to awaken, to shine. You will not need to strive. The mark itself will open doors, attract destiny, and align divine timing. Everything that once resisted you will now recognize you. You are no longer seeking alignment, you are alignment. Chosen one. This final stage is not about doing more, but being the vessel heaven designed, being the reflection of divine glory on earth. Your walk becomes worship. Your breath becomes prayer. Your existence becomes testimony. Wherever you go, heaven follows, because heaven lives within you. You are sealed forever, not as a trophy, but as a torch-bearer. Your light will continue to guide others through their own darkness. Your story will awaken those still sleeping. Your endurance will strengthen those still wavering. You are no longer just part of a move of God, you are one of its manifestations. And when all is said and done, when eternity folds into itself, heaven will still remember this: the night you were marked, the days you were refined, And the moment you were sealed, you are the reflection of redemption, the echo of everlasting purpose, the living proof that divine glory chooses the humble and crowns them with light. You are sealed forever, chosen one, untouchable, unstoppable, unshakable, and heaven rejoices. Chosen one. You've reached the end of this divine journey, but in truth, it is not an ending at all. It is a continuation of everything heaven has been building within you. You have been awakened, marked, sealed, and set apart. The words you've heard were never meant to entertain you. They were meant to remind you of who you've always been, God's chosen, His light bearer in a weary world. Pause here. Breathe in grace. Let gratitude fill your chest. You've traveled through revelation after revelation, from pain to power, from obscurity to purpose. This is not coincidence, it's divine orchestration. Heaven doesn't waste encounters like this. When you were reading, heaven was reaching. When you felt those chills, heaven was confirming. When you cried quietly, heaven was cleansing. Now, take what you've received and walk differently. You are carrying something sacred. Let your words heal. Let your peace teach. Let your story shine. You've been called to live as a walking reminder that light still wins, that grace still redeems, that heaven still speaks. If this message has spoken to your soul, share it not out of habit, but out of purpose. Someone out there needs the same reminder that found you here. When you share, you extend this light beyond your own life. When you like, you agree with heaven's message over your destiny. And in the comments, write what this journey has awakened in you, your reflection, your gratitude, your yes. Testimonies aren't just stories, they're seeds that plant faith in others. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and stay connected. More words are coming, more reminders, more truth, more awakening. Chosen one, heaven smiles upon you. Your story continues, your light remains, and your crown is eternal.